Today's conversation is more of a wake up call for a lot of people. It's the different tiers of athletes, right? Okay, so being at Nike Nationals and also U20 this past week reminded me of the reality of expectations, right? So I'll start with this. I'm assuming you know sports, right? I'm going to use the analogy of basketball. And with basketball heads know, okay, there's high school basketball, there's college basketball, and there's pro. The pro style basketball is not the same flow of game that is for college or even high school, right? There are high school players that have an NBA style of pace and play and etc. Same thing when it comes down to um, football. Like it's just a different speed, right? If you're still confused on what I'm saying, let's say you're doing pickup soccer or basketball on the courts. That speed and style of the game is different from organized basketball, right? When you're playing pickup games, you're doing certain things, you're having fun, you're making bad passes, taking bad shots, like all that's normal. When you're in organized basketball, it's different because there's timeouts, there's coaching, there's plays, there's so many different elements, right? And it's just a different game. So when it comes to track and field, a lot of athletes that I work with, and even people that communicate with me and ask me, how do I get to the next level? They're not doing things in the next level to set them up. Here's what I mean. There are high schools that are college prep high schools for colleges, and they give you a certain curriculum to help you develop and be prepared for that level. There's AP testing, there's honors, all these different classes that are at the speed and pace that you would have in college. When you go to college, you're prepared. When it comes to track and field, if you're saying I want to be a D1 athlete, full scholarship, well, then the question to ask yourself is, am I living the life of a D1 athlete now in high school? I've talked before about if you're looking to get a full scholarship D1 out of high school, you need to have a national finalist time or mark in your event as a high schooler, right? And if you're looking to sign early, you need to have this national qualifying or national mark for D1 as on the podium. You got to have that as a junior. So I'll explain that in more detail. If I'm looking to triple jump and get a full scholarship to, I don't know, USA State University, right? And I want a full scholarship. In order for them to give me a full scholarship, I need to be able to perform at a high level and make nationals, if not win nationals for D1, which means that if I'm recruiting and I want to be recruited, say in the fall of my senior year, so I can sign early, that means I haven't competed my senior year yet. That means that my junior year, I would have had to jump 55, 56 feet in high school so that I can get a full scholarship going into my senior year and then improve from there. That's a big number, right? So if that is my goal, then I need to make sure that I'm training as a 55, 56-foot jumper. Now, what does that mean? It means that I can't do what my high school team is doing. I can't. I can't be on the relay team. I can't be doing hurdles. I can't be doing 4 events every single track meet because I'm not going to be doing that in college. If I'm a 55, 56-foot jumper in high school, I'm going to be probably borderline going pro, right? And so if that's the case, then it's like I wouldn't be diluting my performance. If I'm a 55, 56-foot jumper, I'm not going to be in football and basketball and table tennis during track and field season. I'm not going to be in club soccer during track and field season. I'm going to have a lot of things that are not um, worthwhile. I'm going to have to sacrifice a lot of things that I would want to do the exact thing that I have myself envisioned to do. And When I talk to athletes, even this week, I spoke to probably, I don't know, 7 or 8 athletes about the virtual program. And they're like, I'm in basketball, I'm in football, and I want to gain 6 feet in triple jump this year, or I want to do this. And I'm like, you're not available. You can't. You don't have enough time. If you come to me in March and you're like, I want to gain 6 feet in triple jump, just how Zion did, or 5.5 or whatever. The answer is, Zion took 13 months to develop to this level. If you don't know who Zion is, Zion Russell went from 44.11 to 47.5, went from 20 feet 9 to 23.7 this year, right? And again, it's been 13 months. So he needed to actually develop and to grow. So for you to say, hey, I want the same results, it's like, well, I need 13 months from you. I need to see you developing. I need to see you maturing, right? It wasn't about Zion's performance. He was athletic enough already. The problem was he was heavy and he was not mentally mature enough to jump the distances that he's now jumping. Now we've been able to work his maturity, his eating habits and train him that allowed him to get to where he's at now, right? It took time. So what I'm getting at with this whole thing is a lot of you guys are looking for the result without the actual process. And you can't get there without the process being complete. You might be able to accelerate your performance, but you're not mentally ready to compete at that level. So giving up certain things is mandatory. And if you're saying, well, I want to stay in football because I've done it my whole life. Well, that's great. You should. Now you can't expect to get these type of results because it doesn't fit the calendar that you scheduled, right? So it's important that you look at life from the perspective of the previous video I did, which is 10 times your goals. Basically, it's like when you 10 times your goals, you realize there are certain things that don't service you, right? So another example that I'm probably going on a tangent with is if my goal is to make $1 million a day and I'm currently working at McDonald's making $10 an hour, then if I stay loyal to this McDonald's job that I'm working full time, I'm working all the time, 8 hours, right? And I'm committing to this, but I want to make $1 million a day and I'm spending the rest of my schedule, trying to figure out how to make $1 million a day. Well, what's in the way is this McDonald's job. I need to get rid of the McDonald's job so I can now focus on something else that allows me to make any type of money that's way more. Okay. And so it's like, do I really want to give up this McDonald's job? I don't. But to make $1 million a day, well, then I need to give up something. And that's in the way. So if you're looking to be a D1 athlete on scholarship and be recruited early, you need to have your D1 marks junior year. And ideally, for track and field, you want to be your best at the later part of the season. Okay. So if you're doing that, then you're really focusing on winning state and then having that process then and having your best jumps there, which means you're already in communication with colleges, which also means that you are letting them know this is where I'm going to be and I'm going to sign right after school is over. If that's the case, then that's the case, right? But now what does it look like when you're actually competing? It means that if you're an elite athlete, right, and you're jumping these 56s or 45 feet in triple jump for girls or whatever it is, you should be training for a later part of the season, right? So we have athletes that qualify for U20, high schoolers. They're going to be competing next month in August. So technically, if they had an indoor season, they competed in January, and now they're expected to be at their best in August. If that is your season, you want to have your season planned out for the whole year, meaning the halfway point is your state championships, right? If the halfway point is your state championships, you're not peaking for that. You're not even looking at that meet as a challenge. You're not even looking at your league championships as a challenge or your district, your regionals. Those are just regular meets. When most people are high schoolers, their regular meets is preseason and some dual meets and maybe a challenging one in between. And then you have your regionals and state where you finish it off. But an elite level athlete is like, I'm going to U20 and going to represent the USA in our championships. So my normal meet is regionals. My normal meet is the championships. All of my meets are championships. Now my new championships are my regular meets. You hear what I'm saying? So keep your focus set on what type of athlete are you going to be doing or going to be, and then you should be making decisions from that place. I don't see too many athletes. There are a few, but don't see too many athletes that are doing 3, 4 events per track meet and expecting to be a world class caliber athlete. It's too hard because you want to be at your best every single time. And I'll even say this, forgot her name, but she won U20s in triple jump this year. She's from Texas, and she jumped, her personal best was 43.1, and she jumped 44 something and change, right? And I was just like, wow, this girl, she can jump very far and has potential to jump even further. And I'm thinking, could you imagine if she were to do long jump and hurdles and have a high school career? She wouldn't be jumping as far. On top of that, she literally tried 2 days later after qualifying for U20s and making the team and jumped at the Nike um, triple jump championship section. And she was all over the place. You can tell that her legs were just tired. And I think she jumped 41, maybe 42 feet. But it was a struggle. And she like, the goal was to jump once and win it and walk away. And she just could not put the jumps together. That lets you know that she can't perform at a very high level back to back to back like that, which lets you also know you want to really focus. I'm not saying specialize, but what I'm saying is you want to have a management system in place so that you're training for where you need to go. Set your ultimate goal and work backwards. If you want to be ranked in the world, well, then that means you're going to be at these world meets, U20s, and so on. You should be working from that calendar backwards. If that's the case, then what are you doing in October doing speed work and bounding when you should be building your base up during that time because your season's going to be that much longer? Okay, I feel like I rambled more on that, but that's what I got to say, and I'll see you guys.